Breaking in the last 24 hours, one of our Turning Point USA staffers who helped start high school chapters in the Midwest, in the Chicagoland area, was assaulted by Hamas supporters and sympathizers. So Peter Christos was going to attend a pro-Israel rally. It was at capacity, and so he went outside of it. By the way, Hamas supporters moved their location from downtown Chicago to Skokie. Skokie's a very Jewish area, and mind you, remember, this was the place where Nazis, actual Nazis, marched in Skokie, defended by the ACLU, because there were Holocaust survivors there. So these Hamas supporters then target Peter Christos, Turning Point USA staffer, who was escorting an elderly Jewish couple, and Peter Christos was savagely beat by these Muslims. And what a hate crime is, and the cop, of course, the police officer, sits and does nothing because, God forbid, the police officer arrests a Muslim person. Only white Christians get arrested in America with this sort of stuff. Play cut 47. And joining us now is Peter Christos, and you'll see there the police officer just kind of sits idly by and does nothing. Peter, thank you for joining the program. Tell us what happened in your own words.
Hey, Charlie, how are you? Thanks for having me on. So basically on Sunday, there was a pro-Israel event that was being hosted by various different organizations in Skokie, Illinois, which is a historically Jewish town. So I attended this pro-Israel event and realized that one of my coworkers from Turning Point happened to also be in town. So I invited him to come to this event with me. And as I met him outside to park his car, we were stuck in between a roadblock, the pro-Palestine protesters and the police. And we had to make our way through all these protesters. Obviously, you know, we weren't saying anything or engaging with them because we were outnumbered about 200 to 300. And we made our way up to the police barricade, and they said that we were not allowed to access the pro-Israel event from this point. So now everyone in that crowd saw that we were pro-Israel, and they began following us back as my coworker and I made our way down the street. They began kicking my coworker. They were screaming at us, harassing us. And as we made our way down the street, I noticed an elderly Orthodox Jewish couple. And I said, "Are you here for the pro-Israel event?" And they said, yes, they were. So I said, "Come with us." And as I started walking with this couple, the mob began to grow and started screaming at us more, kicking myself, kicking my coworker, getting into this elderly Jewish lady's face and screaming at her. She was shaking and trying to pull her phone out. And I said, "Miss, don't worry, I'm already recording." And next thing I knew, the mob grew angrier and I was separated from my coworker. And the next thing I remember, I was punched in the back of the head, pushed into bushes, and beaten and kicked in the head and hit with a flagpole. The police intervened and got me out of there, but we had to run as the mob started chasing us. And I met up with my coworker down at the end of the street, and we had to continue to run. And we heard gunshots ring out, and it was overall a very scary situation for everybody.
So, are you doing okay, first of all? I mean, that was a real violent attack by a group of Muslims. Are you doing okay?
Yes, I have bruising on my hands and on my back and have a concussion. But other than that, I am doing okay.
Oh, you have a concussion. Well, okay. Well, take that seriously. That's not a small thing. So the elderly Jewish couple, were they also assaulted, or did you basically experience the brunt of the attacks?
I experienced most of the attacks. I know that the Jewish lady towards the end was trying to push them away and try to pull them off of me. And the elderly man was kind of like protecting me, kind of at like the base of my feet, and was pretty much trying to push them off of me. I do hope that they are okay and that we can connect with them. And I really just hope that, you know, this wouldn't have ever happened.
Well, yeah. So first of all, God bless you. I mean, here you are, you stepped up, and they're old enough that they actually might have died. And so you actually might have saved their life. And God bless you for standing up for, you know, these innocent Jews that are being targeted by these Hamas sympathizers. As it says in Genesis 12:1, I'll bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you, I will curse. So those people have something coming for them. But let me just ask you, Christos, just talk more about the atmospherics here. I mean, it's hard to believe this is happening in the country. Did the police officers arrest anybody after they did this?
So when all of this was happening, even when I was getting attacked, I seriously couldn't think. All I was thinking in that moment was, I need to get out of there. I did notice that the police did arrest one of the assailants, but I'm unsure about the rest of them. I'll have to follow up with the local or possibly the county sheriff to see what happened. But it was like a very angry atmosphere. You know, the pro-Israelis, they were holding their rally in this historically Jewish town where many Holocaust survivors went after World War II. And the pro-Palestinian event was supposed to be hosted downtown, but instead moved specifically to protest this pro-Israel event.
Can you just talk about some of the language that, I mean, the physical violence is bad. What's some of the language that was being used, just to kind of fill our audience in? Was this anti-Israel, or did it also bleed into anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish type language of, you know, these peaceful people, the media tells us, draped in Palestinian flags that beat you and gave you a concussion?
Yeah, so there's some things that I wouldn't feel comfortable even repeating on your show. Some of the things that were said to my coworker and I and this Jewish couple. We were called racists. We were called Nazis. We were told that we were committing genocide and all of these things. And, you know, most of what was, you know, being told to us, I just don't, you know, for the audience, I don't even feel comfortable repeating it on the show. But it was, you know, we were called Nazis. The people, they went up to an Orthodox Jewish man and they called him a Nazi to his face. Just to give you a perspective.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So Peter, at Turning Point USA, you know, we are fighting for America, fighting for freedom and liberty. We also have a lot of pro-Israel programming. I'm really glad that you were there, and we're honestly fighting for civilization. Just kind of fill in closing here. This is the type of courage that we want to see out of our students. I'm very proud of you. You did the right thing here. I'm sorry that you had to experience the concussion, and you were brave and courageous, because again, those elderly Jews could have been killed by this mob. And I just want to reinforce this, that in Skokie, very Jewish area, there was a Stand With Israel event that was on Toohey Avenue. I know it very well. And the Muslim groups changed their location from downtown Chicago, that's them right there, really peace-loving people, to Skokie. Peter, what is some other takeaway in closing here do you have for people watching? And talk about the kind of venom, the menace, and anything you want. Just kind of closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts is, I know that the world is a very scary and hateful place, but I just think that we need to all come together and love one another, to be honest, at the end of the day, because we all bleed the same. There's no reason to be such a hateful person to someone that you don't even know. I know that people are angry at times, but that does not give someone the excuse to harass and assault and beat someone just because you think differently. And I think that, you know, whether you're Christian or whether you're Jewish or whatever faith you may believe in, it's important to stand up, even if it's scary, even if you're alone, even if you feel threatened. It's super important to stand up and vocalize for things that you believe in and for things that are right.